So this is the next episode of my plant of the day video. In this video I'm going to talk about another house plant which is very easy to care but a very rare species. As you know by the title, I'm going to talk about a variety of Syngonium. This species name is Syngonium Erystrophyllum, which fall into the genus of Syngonium. We already know that Syngonium is a very low maintenance plant which is very well known for their air purifying qualities. So without further ado, let's begin this video. In indoor plants, there are very few plants which have dark foliage, and luckily this plant fall into that category. You can see that the foliage is very dark in color. If you want to know that how I take care of my Syngonium, so the related video is also present in my channel. So the link I will provide in the description box as well as in the right top. So if you want to know more, then you can go to the description box and also to the link above. As you can see that this is a very rare species and this foliage is really very attractive. I purchased this plant from Root Bridges. If you don't know what a Root Bridges is a site which provide online plant shopping in India. I really prefer this site because they provide very good plant and in very reasonable prices. So a related video about my plant haul and which plant I have purchased from Root Bridges is present in one of my plant haul video. So if you are interested, go to the description box. I will provide a link to that site. Also I will provide a link to my video of that plant haul, and the link to Root Bridges is also present in the right top. So you can check that video out and see that what plant I have purchased from Root Bridges. So this plant cost me around 200 rupees I think. So in that cost, this plant is really good because this is a very delicate house plant which have very beautiful evergreen foliage. This plant basically belongs to the Erica family. If we talk about the foliage, you can see the leaves. The leaves have a metallic copper greenish leaves, and the best thing about this plant is the underneath part of the leaves. You can see that underneath part of the leaves have a reddish underside which really look very adorable, very nice. If you have a little bit of idea regarding indoor plant, then you have seen calatheas or you have known about calatheas or the prayer plant. In prayer plant we can also see that the underneath of the leaves have a purple shade or purple tinge. That is because all these plants which have a purple underside are the understory plant. That means in natural habitat they grow under big plants, so they don't need that much of direct sunlight. So if you have this plant or any kind of prayer plants, that mean any kind of gopurchia or maranta, so it's preferable to never put this plant or this category plant in direct sunlight because they will thrive in medium to low light area. The best thing I found about this plant is when the new leaf appear, the leaf have a waxy layer or waxy coat and have a shine, but when the leaf get older, the shine is gone. The leaf shape is like an arrow and have a waxy surface as I told you earlier, and have a 2 ear-like lobes. This plant really looks very different comparison to normal Syngonium. And if you are looking for a vining tree then or a hanging basket plant, then you can go for this plant because this plant will look stunning in your indoors in hanging baskets. Now let me tell you that how I am taking care of this plant since I got this plant. When I got this plant was in a plastic container and the plant was really in good shape. Now let's talk about the basic requirement your plant needs. So the first thing that you should always keep in mind before getting this plant is water requirement. So the water requirement of this plant is normal to high, and I really like to give this plant shower 2 times or 3 times a day because this is a tropical plant. You can water your plant once or twice in a week in summer, especially in summer season, and the watering should be based on where you place your plant. If you have placed your plant in low to medium sunlight area, then you should water it when the 1 to 2 inch or 2 to 3 layers of the soil is dried out, because if you overwater this plant may got root rot, or maybe any kind of fungus infection or discoloration or drooping can be caused. So always before adding water or giving your plant water, please check the soil. The next thing is sun requirement. This plant is really very adaptable. This plant will really thrive in any kind of sunlight area, but never place this plant in direct sunlight, because as I told you earlier that this is a understory plant, so this plant will thrive in partial shade to bright indirect sunlight. You can also put this plant where the light is very low, because this plant will thrive or can bear shady area for a few days. But avoid putting this plant in direct sunlight for long hours, or because this will cause the leaves to burn out. So never place any of your prayer plants or understory plant in direct sunlight. The third thing which is very important that I found is what kind of soil mixture you should use for your this plant or any kind of indoor plant. You should always use a very well drained soil mixture for your indoor plants as well as for this plant, and make sure that the pot have a very good drainage hole, because this plant will never thrive or never do very well in sandy or domestic or normal garden soil. So it is preferable to use a very good soil mixture. The soil mixture that I prefer and I use for my this plant and my other house plant is a mixture of coco peat, perlite, and sometimes I mix cow dung manure to my soil mixture. The next most important thing about this plant is level of humidity, because this plant is native to rainforest, and as you know that in rainforest there is always raining and the humidity level is very high. So for creating the ideal humidity level, you can mist your plant 2 to 3 times in a day. That's totally depend on the temperature or where you place your plant, and also you can give a pebble tray to your plant to increasing the level of humidity. When it's really very dry out there, you can mist your plant slightly, but frequently misting is not advisable, because that will lead or that will cause the root or the leaves to get fungus. The next important thing is fertilization. You can give any kind of fertilizer to your this plant or your indoor plants, but it is preferable to give organic fertilizer, because that will don't cause any kind of harm to your plant or your leaves. Now let's talk whether this plant is toxic or not. So this is a slightly toxic plant, so it is preferable to keep this plant away from your kids and pets. Now the next thing is propagation. In case of propagating of any kind of syngonium is very easy, because you can do by stem cutting or tip cutting. You can also propagate this plant by tip cutting or stem cutting in water. I also tried the same. I just take a jar filled with water and place the cutting in water, but make sure that to keep the nodes under the water, and the leaves should be always outside, because if the leaves are also in water, then that will cause the leaves to get rot and maybe the cutting will rot also. So it is very important to keep the leaves outside the water. The next thing, that while growing your this plant or propagating this plant via water propagation, that you should always change the water regularly. And the 3 best point about this plant is, first, this plant is a very low maintenance plant. The second thing is very easy to propagate plant, and the third thing is This is a very rare plant, so if you are looking for a hanging basket plant, you can definitely grow this plant. That's all for today, friend. See you in my next video. But before ending this video, I request you to give this video a like, share this video, and if you find my videos helpful, then you can also subscribe to my channel. And also recently I started a new Hindi channel, which is Juhi Ki Kali. In that channel I also talk about indoor plants care and maintenance in Hindi language, so I will give that channel link into the description box. So if you are interested, you can also check that channel out. That's all for today, friends. See you in my next videos. Until then, stay at home, stay safe. Lots of love, guys. Bye.